Now just getting a breaking news where Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Monday that Ukraine had attempted to strike President Vladimir Putin's state residence in Russia's Novgorod region, warning that the alleged attack would alter Moscow's negotiating stance. He said that 91 drones were launched in the alleged attack, but were all intercepted by Russian air defenses. President Trump also reacted to Putin's claim of Ukraine drone attack on his residence and says that I am very angry. And meanwhile, Ukraine denies Russian claim and he calls it a complete fabrication from Russia.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's not good. I heard about it this morning. You know who told me about it? President Putin told me about it. Early in the morning, he said he was attacked. It's no good. It's no good. Don't forget, you know, the Tomahawks. I stopped the Tomahawks. I didn't want that. Because we're talking about, you know, it's a delicate period of time. This is not the right time. It's one thing to be offensive. I was very angry about it.
Joining us now is CNN News 18's Akanksha Sarup. Akanksha, thank you for joining us. And now Kiev has denied this allegation outright. They called it a fabrication. So is there any indication that Ukraine has the capability or the strategic intent to strike deep inside Russia and at a presidential residence?
Well, there's always been an ownership of whenever an attack is conducted. Somehow Zelensky, in fact, took to X, and the Ukrainian president has said that it is critical that the world doesn't stay silent now. We cannot allow Russia to undermine the work on achieving lasting peace. So, according to the Ukrainian president, these are, to quote him, typical Russian lies intended to give the Kremlin an excuse to continue attacks on Ukraine and also to derail the ongoing peace talks because he says that they have reached a critical juncture. As you heard what the U.S. president had to say while he was meeting the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. He's in fact gone on to talk about how angry he is because this attack, remember, 91 unmanned aerial vehicles or say drones were sent out towards the Kremlin, and Russia said that it will now be reviewing its position in peace negotiations and that it is not clear where Vladimir Putin was at the time of the alleged attack. But we've seen that statement that was shared on Telegram by the Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, who confirmed that 91 drones were launched at the Kremlin because they were intercepted and destroyed by the Russian air defense systems. So he's also added that Russia does not intend to exit the negotiating process with the United States. They will continue to engage with them. But it has, as we all know, arrived at a very critical juncture, Shreya, because remember, it's just hours after after the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky again met the U.S. President Donald Trump in Florida, and they seem to be very optimistic about the 20-point peace plan. Most of the security guarantees that they were discussing between U.S. and Ukraine, they had been agreed upon between European allies and Ukraine are yet to be agreed upon. Yet Donbass and Zaporizhia, the nuclear power plant, happen to be key, points of concern and the bone of contention. Russia, remember, is not willing to part with Donbass, majority of which it is controlling already. And the Ukrainian president has already made it amply clear that the control over Donbass lies in the Ukrainian constitution. It is the will of the people, and Ukraine is not willing to part with Donbass, even though Russia is controlling majority of it. So there are key concerns, and President Trump had also shared his hopes of having yet another meeting in January of 2026, this with the European allies. So if there is some kind of a breakthrough, we'll have to see as far as territorial concessions are concerned. But this drone attack, 91 unmanned aerial vehicles being sent out to President Putin, and that attack being intercepted, of course, it's a big, massive sort of a security breach. At the same time, President Trump's reaction over there goes on to indicate that there's a lot of anger within him because this attack has happened at a critical juncture. If you see the tail end of the reaction of the president, he's also being asked by one of the journalists over there that how can he be so sure that this was an attack that was conducted by Ukraine, to which he's in fact gone on to respond that he's not sure if that is what the journalist is implying, that it is a self-orchestrated attack by the Kremlin. So we do not know, given that nobody has taken responsibility for this drone attack, but 91 drones all attempting to attack Vladimir Putin's residence. It's not what you witness every day. It's not, it's of course something out of the ordinary. And we'll have to see if this is going to have any kind of bearing and impact. And the fact that President Putin himself told the US president also indicates the gravity of the situation, which is also what has sort of further angered the US president, the timing of all of this. But it's interesting that there was a quick denial by the Ukrainian president. We'll have to see how far this goes and if Russia is going to respond with a counterattack on Ukraine. Remember, the situation is extremely fragile and this is a developing story.
Right. Also, reaction coming from President Trump is very interesting. Like, he says that he's very angry, but also suggests that a verification is very necessary. Or Russian officials also say that this incident will alter their negotiating stance. So what is your assessment? Like, what could materially change in the negotiation process right now? As you rightly mentioned, this is coming at a very interesting event when the negotiations have been underway for quite some time now.
So, Shreya, that's important that you highlight that because US and Ukraine, in fact, discussed only on Sunday in Florida when Presidents Trump and Zelensky discussed this revised peace plan to end the war. So, according to the Ukrainian president, he said that US has offered Ukraine security guarantees for 15 years. Trump also has said that an agreement on this point was close to 95%. But it's important to note that Zelensky is still digging in his heels, especially when it comes to territorial issues and the Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, as well as Donbass. So Moscow currently controls the majority of Donbass, 75% of Donetsk, and to be precise, 99% of Luhansk. So will this attack, as far as the drones are concerned, on the Kremlin give Russia an edge in the ongoing negotiations? How it chooses to respond to Ukraine? Will it have more reasons to now attack Ukraine unabated? We'll have to see all of that.